We've got the fancy music. Fancy intro music.
Fancy intro. That's how we start. Anyway, welcome to Freedom Burrito.
Welcome to Freedom Burrito, episode
4 now, isn't it?
Quattro. I know Italian.
That was the 3.5.
It was 3.5, wasn't uploaded, doesn't really matter.
At this rate, it'll come.
Pretend we never said that.
Alright, so we're up to episode 4 now, and today's a special episode, I'd say.
Very, very special episode of Freedom Burrito today.
We actually got a live audience
Live
behind
audience.
the camera right now.
Oh,
Yeah, what's up, people?
sick. Brave Conference 2019. It's been plugged in the previous episodes, but we're here right now. It has been so good.
For sure, yeah, it's been great. The
been-
weekend, there's so many things happen. God's
Well-
made his way through the weekends for sure, so
Yeah, it's been good as.
so good.
And also, you may have noticed, second camera. What?
Yeah.
Can we
We're
give a hand
crazy.
for Levi? Just, he's been a legend.
Thanks a lot, Levi. So we appreciate it.
So, who do we have on this episode of the podcast, Jay?
Well, he's been preaching Friday night, and he's preached this morning. But let's welcome up Pastor Dave Doolan.
Yeah! Take the mic. I don't think it's on. There's like a button at the bottom.
You gotta press it underneath to. Very complicated stuff, these microphones.
Hey.
There we go.
Woo.
The suspense.
Everything.
In the room and on the
Nice.
interwebs.
They're
Oh.
watching us now live, and it's great.
Across
How
the
good.
world.
What's up, guys?
Web.
Yeah.
We could be in the future right now.
We could.
Whoa.
Or we in the past.
Mind blown.
Like,
Damn, we're already starting with something
what
new
just,
here.
What just happened?
Next level stuff here.
Wow.
All right, so let's do it with our traditional ways.
I just realized some of these people might not even know what Freedom Burrito is.
Oh,
Do you want to quickly explain what this is, Jay?
Freedom
I don't really
Burrito.
know either.
Yeah.
Damn.
Wow.
All right, so Freedom Burrito is our podcast series. Me and Josiah here as our hosts, and we're just doing something different for our youth. Like we want a whole new outreach way. Like you have youth groups in church, which hits the younger people, but then I feel like podcasts can hit another level. Any generations, they can know
Yeah.
what's happening with youth groups.
Ours is
what's
mostly
happening.
aimed at teenagers, but anyone can take anything out of it, which
For
is
sure.
great.
That's the best part of it. But yeah, it's all about the outreach to different places so they can know what happens in Australia, down under.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy.
But what's the burrito part? Like,
What's
is
the
it
burrito?
curry
Okay.
Or like
So what happened was
spicy burrito?
Yes, he got.
I reckon it's pretty spicy. Not gonna
That's
lie.
the point.
Okay.
I literally went onto like a one of those podcast name generators,
Yeah.
and I literally typed. It was like, "What's the top of your podcast?" I was like, "Oh, freedom," and then it was like the Freedom Burrito. I was like, "Sounds pretty good."
Wow.
And,
I
yeah.
feel like it's just dripping with the anointing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Spicy
like
content.
God will use anything.
For sure. Yeah.
But that's another message.
Even a
True.
burrito.
Alright.
Anyways, let's get straight into this, eh?
Back to
Let's.
normal traditions. We like to ask our guests to give a short testimony about how they got to know God and then how they got to where they're at in their youth group or whatever. So
Introduce yourself,
Yeah.
Dave.
take it
All
away.
right. Well, for everyone in the room and everyone playing along at home, my name is Dave Doolan. I originate from Bendigo, the Bendy Ghetto, if you would, where I was born and raised from a young age, and basically grew up in church. Sometimes went home too, but apart from that, yeah, literally since I was born. I think for myself, faith kind of got a little bit real, probably like as a teenager, when kind of coming into youth ministry and kind of, I think it was probably around age 14 when things kind of like had that decision to make about like basically what I wanted to do with my life and stuff. And I think it was through having solid friendships, through having great leadership, an incredible youth pastor and culture and a community where there was belonging and acceptance, and where I was able to explore my faith and ask questions, as well as have like that great influence. That literally kind of, every Saturday night our youth ministry was called Uproar, and was like,
Nice.
and it was spelled UPRAW, so it was like an uproar, but like raw, like very
Whoa,
cool. In the
that's-
2000s,
that's deep.
that was like cutting edge. But anyway, and so I think it was from there. I remember different encounters with God. I remember the first time was at a Youth Alive meeting where I like really made a conscious decision about wanting to be real with my faith, and then I think it was just constantly like different times that God would stir my heart for things. I originally probably had a dream of wanting to be an actor or have my own talk show. That was probably what I really wanted to go for. And all throughout high school I was basically aiming to be in the entertainment industry somehow. So that was kind of what I was looking for. And then so looking to study acting or do something like that. But then I remember through just my heart being stirred, doing things in my own high school, running different lunchtime festivals, and basically any opportunity to really plug God and our youth ministry and really reach out to those around. I think it was by probably about year 12 that I remember probably as at a Planet Shakers conference and responding to the call of God and knowing that that's what I really wanted to do with my life and really go after that. And I remember afterwards just kind of sitting there, and then the altar call had finished and was done and stuff, and was moving, people talking about what was happening for lunch, and I remember just could not stop crying. I was literally the tears kept going, the waterworks, there was a mess, there was snot, there was tears and everything. And when my youth pastor seen me, and she's like, "Oh no." And I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Oh, this is bad." I'm like, "What is it?" And she's like, "God's got you nailed." And I'm like, "Oh." And she's like, "You're going to be ruined for anything else." And I'm like, "Oh." And then I remember literally from that Arvo onwards, I remember there was just something in me where I knew that was what I wanted to do, pursue the call of God in my life and serve God in ministry and within the church and beyond and stuff. And so, and then from there really continued to outwork my faith in kind of taking on more opportunities. I remember, I think it was a year after high school, I did an internship through a local church as well as serving in a local high school, really focusing on running high school ministry. I think that was always my passion, was not so much, I loved our youth ministry, but really taking it outside the four walls and doing different lunchtime programs and outreach stuff and camps and stuff with those from outside, and organising buses, getting guys to youth. So that was really a real focus. And then, I remember a couple of years later stepping into taking over as youth pastor. And that's kind of really been my thing. And then along the journey, obviously, having different seasons of there was a season where I actually completely stepped out of ministry and leadership and really had a time of study and back at Bible college. And I think it was in that time of these 2 years of really asking some big questions, re-exploring, basically throwing out my whole foundations of why do I believe this? Where's this come from? What do I just believe this because this is what I've been told to believe? What do I want to do? And as in that time, I feel like I kind of did a bit of a 180 where I was kind of threw everything out, to start afresh of what do I believe? And then kind of landed in a similar spot, but kind of then knew exactly why I believed that and where that had come from, and formed my own convictions. And So
good.
Is that good?
Yeah, it's good.
Does that work?
Yeah, that's fine.
It's mostly true.
Mostly.
80. No. It's legit.
That's all we need. Yeah.
It's
good.
just-
No.
So good. Thanks
Cool.
for that. So this whole what we're doing right now, what we're going to transition into now, is a bit of a Q&A session for our conference, for our audience. I think numbers up on the screen.
The number's up there.
Yeah.
So if
They're
you
great
wanna,
numbers.
Yeah, they are great. Pretty snazzy numbers up there, I reckon.
Yeah, there's a mobile phone number up there. Text it with your questions. This is to the audience out there, not to you guys in the camera.
I don't think they can see it at all.
Yeah, they probably won't be able to see it. But
Imagine getting an upload and then you just come from this random from Spain. He's like, "Yo, how's it going?" But in Spanish. I don't know how to say it, but
Hola.
Hola.
I don't know what else it's saying.
Yeah, same.
Hola. Yeah,
Hola.
that's
Yeah,
all the
but
Spanish I
anyway.
know.
You guys won't be able to, but our audience, live audience back there, will be able to message that number with their questions. So it keeps them in like a secret area that if they can't really speak publicly about it, they want to share it privately.
Eventually, we'll like head down. We'll come and ask if you want to ask a question, but not now. So if you want to ask a question, think of it now. Either send it through, but there will also be an opportunity for us to head down and have a chat.
Do you reckon calling the podcast Burrito, do you reckon is that specifically to reach out to Spanish people? Was that your intention from the beginning, or
Maybe. Hi, Spanish people.
That would be pretty cool.
probably say hola? That'll
I
help.
can say
Hola,
take.
yeah.
I can sing a little bit of the part and take it all in Spanish. Does that count?
I feel like you're losing the Spanish guys. You
Yeah.
gotta
Okay.
stop. We want to
Catch
keep
you later,
them.
Spain. How's?
Oh.
Bye.
Anyway, so I reckon we'll start with some questions between us first.
Yeah.
We're going to try to relate more to youth ministry based because
Great.
that's how we want to
And-
relate to our younger
Well,
people.
yeah, youth ministry and just teenagers in general. Yeah.
Cool.
So as a youth leader, youth pastor, my bad. As a youth pastor,
Yeah.
what type of struggles do you really face, and like how do you overcome those struggles?
Cool. Basically, because I'm a youth pastor, I don't have struggles. So that's kind of the best part, that like I'm a leader and a pastor, and it means that once you hit that level, struggles stop and you kind of have it all worked out. So I hope that some of you one day will be able to reach that. No, not really. Jokes. I feel like it's kind of, there's probably that level of like, there's probably a certain sense of like this expectation, thinking that you need to have it all together, and thinking through, sounds like the building's about to implode. If in case you're watching online, it's been real.
Is the rapture happening?
I don't know.
Oh no.
Great. But it's a good chance to deal with any undealt with sin anyway. But basically, I think sometimes of just kind of being able to, understand that like you don't need to have it together all the time, and to be able to that still there is those still wrestles, and like obviously as like in leadership there's a certain element of like needing to be above reproach, and that like leading young people, integrity and all of that stuff, but it doesn't mean that there's still not like struggles and wrestles and working stuff out. It just means kind of like having the safe space to do that, and why it's so important, I think, definitely keeping that your relationship with God fresh, and really making that space for it, because like there's that element of always needing to, you're always going to be giving out, and always going to be needing to be ready to basically, I don't know, help people, or to be able to help people with where they're at. And so unless I'm got my stuff together to a certain point and make sure that I'm kind of like good with God, then that's going to be a struggle, or going to be like ministering out of a bad place. I think the other thing with that, it can be also like remembering that like just because of being in leadership or a title and stuff, like I still just as much need to have that space of getting into God, of like kind of digging deep and making that a priority, because that never changes. And yeah.
Nice, cool.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
good.
Do you have a question? Because the phone's actually going off.
The phone's going off. It's
Lots of
popping.
questions.
Okay, wait. We've got a
they
pre-written
appropriate?
question here.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, fair enough. We've got a pre-written question. Yes.
Okay. You have an interpretation of that one, please.
We have a pre-written question.
Okay, pre-written
Okay.
question.
It's a bit of a interesting topic. What
ready.
age is it appropriate to start dating?
Ooh. Here we go.
Controversial.
Oh,
Very
controversial.
around young people too.
What age is it appropriate to start dating? Well,
50s. Yes.
well, Josiah, How long have you liked this girl for?
This puts me in a very vulnerable position.
But this is a safe space.
This is a very safe space.
Yeah, is she, have you known her very long? And secondly, is she a Christian? And thirdly, are her parents okay with it? I feel like these are some of the real questions we should be asking.
Guys, catch you later.
Sorry, we can chat about this later.
Good start.
No, but
No.
for real.
Well, for whoever it is that has pre-written that question
I was
for a
asking
friend.
Yeah.
All right. Well, for your special friend Josiah, I think it comes down to, I don't know if there's a black and white answer, but I feel like basically I think it depends on where you're at. And I think one thing to remember is as a teenager, you've got an incredible season of your life where you can really focus on your relationship with God, setting a foundation for the rest of your life. And so I think it's like high school years is a great time to really dig into God, really have that time to kind of serve God and really set yourself up for your future. And so I think with that, it's not a bad thing to wait. Because I think a lot of teenage crushes come and go, and there is awesome stories of high school sweethearts from 16 and whatever. Apparently that's out there. But I think with that, I think it's that, I don't know, if it's real love, I think it'll wait. And so whether especially till 18 or whatever is not a bad thing to, once you've actually got some stuff sorted, to wait it out. However, though, if she's really special and you feel like it's right, then there's probably a good conversation you can have with your youth pastor.
You're okay.
I guess that covers that question.
We've got some questions from the audience now.
Oh man, there's so many. Where do we start?
That's a good thing. Okay, thanks for all the questions, by the way.
Very great, actually. This is good. First one we'll start with is, does God forgive all sins?
Ooh.
Yeah, it's going there.
Well, as a child, I didn't believe God could forgive robbers. I just felt like robbers were just in a category that was just unforgivable. They're just the worst. They come in, they steal your TV and your treasures and stuff, and I just really couldn't comprehend how God could forgive such bad people. However, I've learned that the grace of God is bigger than that, and God does forgive all sin. We could go deep into the whole unforgivable sin and what the unpardonable sin looks like and all that, but I feel like that's also something we don't really need to worry on, because it's if your heart is wanting to repent and wanting that forgiveness, then I think it shows that this is something that that they're totally God is, that's, you're not really in that category, so it's fine. So yeah, totally, I think no matter what it is that if it's whatever, that God can totally forgive all sin.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Full stop.
Before we continue on with these messages, it's gone crazy.
Wow.
Legit.
I feel like that's what your phone's all the time. Am I right, Jay?
Nah.
He wishes.
No.
Oh.
I don't think this is a roasting session right now. Anyway, so we're going to go to our live audience.
Does anyone in the live audience have a question that they'd be willing to speak into the mic?
Where's the cricket sounds?
Yeah.
You know?
I'll add them in post. Everybody? Oh, there's someone here. Okay.
We see that hand.
Let's go.
There
Brother
you go.
Stripe.
MC Josiah going.
Hi, walking camera. Yes, sir with the beard. Hey, how's it going? I'm just going to casually sit next to you.
The man-child.
So what is your question?
Who would win in a free-for-all battle between the three of you guys?
Good, that's a good question.
Wow. So who would win in a just no limits, no holds
Is it just
battle?
1v1? V1?
No, yeah, it's 1v1v1.
Do we have any secret powers? Can we have secret powers? Can we have one, two? Two
Yes.
secret powers each.
2. Okay.
All right. I think we can start with choosing the 2 secret powers, and then I feel like we can work out what do you reckon would happen.
I don't even know.
I don't even know. Wait.
I want laser eyes. Can I have laser eyes? Like eyes like
I'll go invisible and flying.
Oh, that's
Wait, you've got laser. Oh, wait. So you've got a laser and you've got eyes. Is that your two things?
Is that a
no.
checkmate?
They're like laser eyes. Having eyes is not a superpower, Josiah. Come on
For some
now.
people it is.
Look, I feel like. Look, I don't, without fully knowing your strengths and weaknesses, it's really hard to say. If we need to make this happen later on, I guess we could do that. We could probably even live stream it to the world. I don't know.
Let's go.
Yeah, right.
It could be a special side episode. Maybe it could be like a taco episode.
4.5?
4.5.
Yeah.
4.5.
4.5.
Freedom taco.
Spicy taco.
Yes.
Great.
You guys are going down. Next question.
Jeez.
We didn't really answer the question. Answer
Sorry,
is
Maddie.
we don't know.
But probably me. Because of
Yeah.
like,
Up for a
Sure.
debate.
Sure.
it's an answer.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And that's what you're getting.
All right. Should Jesus be one of our closest friends?
Yeah, look, definitely in your top 8. Possibly top 4. No jokes. Totally. I think totally Jesus is like, he's our Lord and Savior, King, but also is our like best friend. And so I think it's good to keep that in mind with all that. Like he is like our best friend, but he's not just like our best friend we call up when we're just like needing help or like just randomly like just when we got nothing better to do and stuff. I think we got to remember that he is still like the Lord of our life and all of that. And so it's like, yeah, totally he's our friend that we can call on and should be looking to and all of that. But it's so much more than that. But yeah, totally.
Yep.
So good.
Yeah.
What's your favorite interaction you've had with God?
My favourite interaction. It's an interesting choice of word. Look, I love a good encounter with God where I just get a little bit messed up. Probably my favourite, I remember one encounter I had with God was a youth camp. Probably my first youth camp I was running as youth pastor, and I remember it was like, in the lead up, I was like stressed out of my brain, and like the whole thought of logistics and being responsible for young people for a weekend scared me, and it still does a little bit. But anyway, I remember like there's this Saturday night where like I felt like everything had gone wrong, but then there's this like moment where like literally young people starting to get prayed for, and just like the Holy Spirit was moving. And then I remember like myself, I was like, I want this, I need this. And I remember literally I'd never been like drunk in the Spirit like that before, where I kind of like had like my filters went and I kind of just really let loose and like just feeling such freedom. And just really it was like basically the picture was just like this night in the like lounge room where like literally God was just like, it was just like God the Father was just literally just playing with the kids, where literally we just had such freedom just to kind of like experience God. And that was like a bit of a breakthrough, a bit of a game changer in that way, where it wasn't super intense. It was just literally experiencing the love of God. There's other times I think just all kinds of like, sometimes the most random ones where literally God will just drop a word where I'll kind of like, whether it's praying for someone or God will just rock up and I'll be just like, bam, like really left of field and stuff. But all interactions are good.
Cool.
Nice.
Nice.
I think we might. Does anyone else in the audience, like right now, have a question that they'd be willing to say over the mic?
We may
Maybe
or
not
may
a-
not
We've
give
got
a
one.
real life answer.
We have one.
Maybe not like another versing series.
Yeah,
like
because that
question.
was hard to answer. Hey man, what is your question?
What's better, Xbox or PS4?
Oh,
Oh,
here we go.
oh, that's a good question. Cut to that camera.
To answer to you and the camera, I would say don't care. Like, I'm not really much of a gamer.
Nice.
So, like, can I say switch?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh,
We've got another
I don't
switch,
know.
boy. I'm down.
Just throwing a curveball in there. Controversial. But look, literally, I'm can just be happy with games on my phone that I can just be addicted to for 2 weeks and then kind of like lose interest and then download the next one.
Relatable.
Just saying.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Next text question.
Well, this one says, how long have you been a pastor?
True.
Everyone's making fun of my accent. My bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, was that your accent?
Nah.
Is
It's
there
just
any
how I
other words
pronounce
you
words.
say weird?
Oh, there's plenty.
Can you
They'll keep on calling me out for it. You'll know.
give me one.
Someone.
Automatic.
Yeah, there you go. I'm not saying it.
Say automatic.
Automatic.
What?
Why?
Where does that come from?
My parents.
Okay. Typical millennium. Blame it on my parents. Am I right? What were we asking? How long? How many
have you been a
years?
pastor for?
Many. Probably like seven-ish. Yep. Probably about that. Yeah. That's my answer. Like
Nice.
without doing like exact like maths and stuff, I'm gonna say around 7,
And 32 seconds.
which is God's number. So it's cool.
7 is, yeah, crazy.
Could be 8. I don't know. I'll do the math one day.
Pick a question, Josiah.
Pick a question. Oh.
Legit, they went crazy. If you even press the
Jeez.
song, there's even more. Someone named Josiah Cook has sent. I don't even want to talk about it.
Send
He's back there. Just don't listen to him.
Wow.
I'm being harsh. What?
So the question is, what does it mean to fully trust in God?
Ooh. Wow. Gee, wizardry. Fully trusting God. I think that means, particularly when it goes beyond what you think is right or what common opinion is, to then actually trusting what God says and going with that. I feel like that's kind of what it looks like. Going beyond our own, like it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. So I feel like it's going beyond what your understanding or thinking is to going with what God says above that. And I think it's that every situation type of thing. And look, I don't know exactly, I think it's like a journey of fully doing that, because I think we're all on that path, and it's, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I felt like I had to say yeah also.
Yeah.
All right, so this question was interesting. Stood out to us.
Yeah.
Cool.
It says,
Interesting
how do you
question.
handle a situation where you're with non-Christian friends and they're grilling you because of your faith?
Wow. I feel like you turn the tables and you find some cheap shots that you can literally just grill them back on and just roast them, and then kind of think about things they've said to you in confidence, and literally then start to throw that back at them, whether it be secrets, whether it be deep things that they would hate for people to know, and then you start to fire it off and really start to burn some bridges that they'll never speak to you again. And then I feel like you can then show them that you're right. No, that's a joke. Not really. Don't do that. Don't do that.
It'd be funny though.
Sure, why not? No, I think it's one of those things that it's sometimes we just have to cop it. Sometimes we will get people will enjoy having a good roast, and kind of that we can be on the receiving end. And maybe that's just sometimes what the low grade persecution looks like. And I think sometimes with it, we can, obviously it's great to have answers to try and defend stuff when people are kind of hey, you go to church and you have to do this and whatever, and you can't do that. But I think the best thing sometimes is to own it and be yeah, we do, but I get to do that. And it comes back to perspective when people you miss out on this and that, and you're no, I get to do this. This is a choice, and I'm going to go to heaven, and I'm not sure about your salvation right now. So well, maybe don't turn it into eternal burn. And but I think sometimes it's better. I think remember at the end of the day that what people don't understand, people often criticize. And so I think sometimes you just have to cop it and realize that they don't know or understand some of this stuff, and they won't unless they like have a relationship with God or understand this. And so you're sometimes better off just to laugh it off or kind of just cop it on the chin, because I think sometimes later on down the track, then people will actually ask questions seriously and come back. But I think it's one of those things that in the moment it's better to actually keep that relationship and not to kind of burn those bridges, so then it actually win their respect and honour that way. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Quick question from one of the winning team members of our tribal wars.
Oh my God.
She says, do you want some Skittles?
Yes, I would.
Come on up, winner member.
Hey.
There he is, Skittle boy.
This was unexpected.
No, I'm not mad about it though. This is great. I'm going to put some down here.
No,
No, I'm good, thanks.
thanks for the offer.
Anyone at home, if you want Skittles, just send in your address and
We'll mail it out.
We'll
Yeah.
mail you some Skittles.
You can
Pay
for
postage and
Yeah,
handling.
they can pay postage.
Yeah, that's a fair call.
Before we go on to another one, do we have another question from the actual audience? Because
Another live audience
let's
question.
try and get like a serious one, because the
Yeah.
track record hasn't been too crash hot. You know what I'm saying? Okay, we'll go over here and we'll make our way around.
Oh, questions
Damn.
everywhere.
Let's do it.
Bam.
Not that I'm answering them.
What is the most important part in your life about God? What God has done to you?
So that was the most important thing that God's ever done?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, there's probably lots of things that could be on that list. Potentially that, like, I've never been shot.
Yeah.
They won't get this.
That was an in-joke for those on
Yeah.
the internet. And I also haven't been eaten by a shark. But bigger than that, because potentially that could happen, but is the other side of that is salvation. And I think the fact that I've been set free from what I've been, from what I deserve, and receive the grace of God, and the fact that even despite all my failings and stuff, that I've got a God that loves me, and that, like, I've been set free eternity. I think that's pretty up there. Yeah.
That's good. Next question from down here.
Ooh. Getting nice and comfy with the audience there, Josiah.
Yeah, I'm blending in
cozy.
with the kiddos.
Kiddos.
Have you ever got a serious injury and God has healed it straight away?
Oh, good one. Does leprosy count?
You've had leprosy?
Yeah, no, not really.
Yeah, okay.
But that would make a great story.
That would make an amazing story.
But I don't want to be the guy on the internet that made up that he had leprosy and then it came out that he didn't, and it'll just get awkward. So that's not on the record. I've never had leprosy. No, I don't. I've never had any crazy sickness or injury that, like, I've had on the spot healing. Certainly had times where I've needed to kind of, like, whether it be like having a bad headache and needing to push through and kind of like just praying, and then like literally minutes later I'm good and God's come through and stuff. But yeah, that's probably, thankfully I've had generally really great health, so it's good. Yeah.
Nice.
Did we have another question over there?
We have another question.
Cool.
Ooh, from the front row.
Question.
Mine's a two-part question.
Oh,
Do you
okay.
think the world could ever live like all believing in Jesus, and would you want that to be the case?
Oh, so there's like a bit of opinion there, then a personal application. Yep. Okay. Part A of the question. I think it's totally possible. Like, I think, obviously, I think even today it's like so much with technology and how connected the world is for like like for salvation to reach throughout the world and to unreach people groups and everything. I think that's totally possible. I feel like with that though, obviously different prophecies and stuff in the Bible and all that is like, I don't know where it'd actually stand, like how that would like look like and all of that. Like I think totally with people like actually taking the gospel out and revivals and stuff, that could totally be something. And yeah, absolutely. But I think having the other side of things is like, obviously if you read Revelation, there's like Antichrist and all that type of stuff that's going to happen. And so I think it's not until heaven that there's really going to be that time where like everyone together will be like in complete unity and right with God. I think we can totally though, like I think sometimes people can think, well, it is what it is and people will do their own thing and stuff and kind of use it as an excuse not to reach people. But I think like totally there's opportunity for us to see revival in places and to really see God sweep through and do something. And I think it just takes people to have that attitude and that heart and that kind of devotion to prayer and really like fully trusting God, that totally that could be that possible to see God move. And yeah,
That was good.
yeah.
Do we have any other questions before we move on back to phone?
Nope.
Cool. All right.
Phone questions.
Interesting. How do you stay strong when God is moving you in your calling and you don't really understand why it's happening?
So how do you stay strong when
God is moving you in
okay,
your calling.
as in like position or moving what you're doing or transitioning?
I don't even know.
Look,
I don't know.
yeah, look, I'll have a shot. And if
Give it a
that's
crack.
wrong, then you can just stand up and be like, no, that's not what I asked.
True.
And
They
I'm
could
like,
do
cool.
that.
I think that once again just comes back to trust. And like faith isn't faith unless there's like risk attached to it. And so sometimes it is that trusting God with stuff. I think even for myself, I've gone through a bit of a season of transition where I've kind of like moved into other areas at church and literally only handed on our youth ministry a few months ago, and kind of like it's just looked different parts of my role and what I've been doing and everything. And even with that was quite scary, because it's like, this is what I knew, this is what I was familiar with and all of that. And then kind of like a certain sense of an unknown with what I'm doing next and different opportunities coming up and what I should do and take and stuff. And so I think with that, it's like, once again, trusting is God who he says he is. Can I trust what he's done in the past? And I think we have to then sometimes go back to like God's track record of being like, if he's brought me through this, then totally. And kind of knowing, is God good? And there's a quote about, I remember hearing that like, unless your foundation is fully built on that God is good, then you'll lower your level of like what you think of God to your level of expectation. And so I think it comes back to knowing that God is good and that he has good things for us and good plans, that even if what's around us is contrary or we're in their space of the unknown, we can then trust that, yeah, God's good and that he's got it, whatever that looks like.
That's good.
Cool.
Yeah.
I hope that answered their question.
If not, just text back and abuse him.
Rightio.
Yep. This is interesting. What's your favourite youth game and why?
Ooh.
That old chestnut, eh? Look, a classic for us for many years was one we called nudie volleyball. Quite controversial, especially in the safer churches era. But what it actually looked like was using a raw chicken, a chicken not cooked, nude if you would. Not that chickens ever wear clothes, but like, and basically have everyone, you have two teams, people have like, everyone's holding and like in pairs an end of a tea towel, and basically it's just like volleyball, except you're using a raw chicken and you got to fly it over the net and catch it in your tea towels, and then like if it hits the ground on the other side, they get a point and all of that. And it's just really fun because like at the end there's just like raw chicken all throughout your like church building, and you just pray that you don't have a salmonella breakout. But yeah, I think that's a classic. What else is good? I feel like it's a classic like egg blow. That one's always good, you know, with the tubing, and you have raw eggs in there, and you got to like put your someone puts a mouth on each end and try and blow
And almost
egg
get
up the other
almost
person's-
pass out.
Yeah.
Fun.
Preferably not, but yeah, totally.
Nice. All right, this one says, what are key things that you need to do to have a really strong relationship with God?
Yeah, good. That's a good, basic, simple question. I think it comes back to having your own, number one, having your own personal relationship with God. And I think if you think to any good relationship, it equals quality time. And so that means having time where you could actually spend time with God in His presence, in like worship, with praying, with like talking to God, with reading His Word. You got to have space for that, and you got to make that a priority. You can't, like, no relationship or friendship is really gonna do well or do the distance if you don't make it a priority. And so it's choosing to make that a priority in your own life and making time for it and making that work. So I think that's like number one. And remembering, like with any, like talking to anyone, it's a conversation, not just a dialogue. Like is it dialogue, not a monologue? So with that, you listen to God as well as just not just read out like a Santa's list of everything you want and stuff. And the other side of it, I think, is community. It's like obviously have your own personal relationship with God, but it's have the community around you. So being in a great youth ministry, being in a connect group, being in a church, having great friends around you that can support you in it. I think it's totally true, that whole thing that you're a product of the 5 top friends you're around. And so with that, you've got to have guys that are going to encourage you with that and keep holding you on track. So basically, yeah, it comes back to having that community around you, because we're never meant to do relationship with God or be a Christian like in isolation or as a lone wolf. Just things get weird when you're by yourself and stuff. It's just gets into a dark place, and it's just like weird ideas come out. So get around people. So I think it's the community and it's your own personal relationship with God, like keeping that stuff a priority. And I feel like that can totally hold you up.
Nice. Let's get an audience question.
Does anyone have a question?
Ooh, another
in the
audience, a live one.
We want to keep it.
Does anyone fresh?
Yeah.
Change it up a little bit.
You gotta have
Anyone?
a fresh burrito. No one
Oh,
likes a
fresh
soggy one.
burrito.
Beard
Oh,
boy
he's
is
back.
Is it something about a jewel? Is it actual? Like a jewel? Like a okay, good.
I don't know what's going on right now.
Hi,
Hopefully
I'm
it's
back.
getting rowdy.
Hey, what's your question, buddy?
Are you friends with any non-Christian people, and if so, do they treat you differently?
Oh,
Ooh,
okay.
interesting.
Part A. Yes, I am. Something I'd make sure that's a priority, that like this is like not just something I preach, but actually make sure I do that myself. So yeah, I've got people in my world that some have different faiths, some have no faith, some people are like kind of in their own zone working stuff out. And do they treat me differently? I think some do, just because like there is that difference of ideas and opinions and stuff, and we'll kind of like have different preconceived ideas about like knowing what I think about different things and stuff. But then I think the flip side, there's some that like are just cool with it, that it like they know me enough to know that like having a different faith or having faith to them is not something that's going to change our friendship or relationship. So yeah.
Okay, this is strange. Would like a coffee, Dave? ? That's what someone put.
Would you like a coffee?
Would I like a coffee?
Is someone actually going to bring a coffee here if he says yes?
Great.
Hey.
No, I'll yes, I will have a coffee. probably just a almond latte, half strength, with 2 sugars and a shot of vanilla.
There you go. Thanks a lot,
And you
Coffee
got
Boy.
one. No, not really. Just a latte is fine. Thank you.
What a
I was
legend.
just messing
Appreciate
with
you,
Give
Jesse.
a round of applause for Jesse.
Yeah, give it up for Jesse.
He's been making coffees all weekend, and
Yeah, he's gone
they've been
crazy.
pretty good.
If there's
And he's
anyone
our
else
birthday
at
boy.
home playing along, certainly send in your coffee orders.
Send in your address. We'll send you, and your coffee order. Bam. We'll
Pay
send it up to
postage.
you.
Pay postage.
Can't guarantee
totally.
they'll be hot when you get it though.
I mean, we could put hot pockets, but that won't do anything.
Yeah, true.
Anyway, what chapter in the Bible do you recommend for people just starting to read the Bible?
Oh, good one. Probably Leviticus chapter 4. I feel like that'll really just help set a solid foundation and really, maybe even, probably be Revelation chapter 11. I feel like just to really throw a spanner in the works and see if they're really legit. Not really, jokes. I feel like, not so much a chapter, but I reckon any of the Gospels, or even just Luke, starting off in Luke's like a great kind of like beginning to end, like for the life of Jesus and stuff. I think there's like packed full of good stuff. Or even Romans. Romans is like, I feel like really helps spell out like what salvation looks like and really kind of like make some things clear. So I feel like any of those are like great to begin with, or any time, but really helps set a bit of a foundation of stuff to really kind of make stuff clear. But Leviticus is a great book, so.
I think Josiah had a recommendation over here.
Did I?
Yeah.
I was gonna say I think it's like Judges 3. It's the part where like King Eglon gets like a dagger into his
I think
fat
the audience recommends Song of Songs.
Yeah, someone recommends Song of Songs.
Yeah, totally. And so I feel like that's some great inspiring poetry there, and can really, if you're over 18, then indulge a little. No, not really though. That'd be a weird book to start with without
For sure.
context.
Do we have an audience question? We have another audience question.
back
Anyone
to-
else? We've got one here. Is anyone else like wanting to know anything?
We can talk about whatever you like. We can talk about online shopping. We can talk
I
about...
recommend ASOS.
Are they ASOS?
No.
Nice. We can talk about Jay's favourite hair products, where to get them.
Woolies.
Woolies brand.
Woolies.
Woolies
Nice.
like home brand gel works wonders.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I don't have any hair to like use gel on.
But thanks
Okay,
anyway,
then.
Josiah.
What's your question?
So, as a youth pastor, have you ever encouraged anyone to become a Christian?
Encourage someone to be a Christian.
Yeah, as a Christian youth pastor, it is something that I have done many a times. I love any opportunity to be able to, especially personally, invite people in. Like I love being able to preach, and most messages will have a time of invitation for people to become a Christian, which is always inspiring and incredible to be in that position, knowing that there's young people that have invited their friends along, or someone could have been on that journey, and that's a moment that I get to actually help them in that part in making a decision. But I also love one-on-one, when being able to just chat with people, and then being like, whether sometimes I remember even like driving a young person home and being able the opportunity to pray there on the spot, and in other settings and stuff. I think it's incredible privilege and honour to be able to do that, especially one-on-one, to play that type of role and be able to help someone with that. So, yeah.
Cool. Nice. Another question. Why should we listen to and respect our leaders?
Good question. Why should we? I don't know. No. Let every man do what you want. I think number one, because it's biblical. I think that anyone that thinks that they've got it all together and don't need to listen to anyone else and stuff, like you're at the beginning of like a mess. And so I think if we want to be leaders, if we want to be following God, then it means that we are going to have to humble ourselves and honour and respect leaders that God's placed in front of us and above us. I think that's just a biblical model and stuff that God has. I think if we're always constantly wanting to be independent and do our own thing, then it's not going to end too well. But I think if we want to become, like it says in the Bible, if you want to be wise and grow off the wise, and so part of that is we need leadership. We need to be able to actually learn and to grow and to expand ourselves. And I think part of that is then like first, if we want to be respected and if we like actually for ourselves be leaders one day and to grow, then that we need to first example that of what that looks like. And even as leaders, we always still need others above us that can actually, that we can continue to be grown from. And yeah.
That's good.
Nice, cool. This says, do you get stage fright? And how do you deal with it?
Do I get stage fright?
Jesse coming in clutch with the
Here's the
coffee.
coffee.
Hello, come on now. That was like a total of like 2 minutes 40, if that. Well done.
Record dealing coffee.
Thanks, man.
Is it good? That's the question.
Solid. Very coffee-like, milky, caffeinated, num. And I give that a solid 8 coffee beans out of 10.
Ooh.
No,
But-
possibly more. I don't know. It's just the first sip, but it's great. What are we talking about? Stage fright.
Stage fright.
How do you deal with it?
How do you
Do
deal
you get
with?
it?
Do
Or
I
first-
get it? Yeah, I think sometimes I have moments. Well, not so much stage fright, but probably just nerves of getting up and in front of speaking in front of people. Not so much regularly. I'm not kind of like beforehand, like sweating my guts up, like about to vomit. I think partly. I think growing up, performing and kind of like loving theatre and being just naturally confident in front of a group of people, probably even more confident in front of a group than sometimes one-on-one or in a small group setting. Just naturally, just kind of how I'm wired, I guess. But there is probably moments sometimes where I'm like flipping out first time in a different context. Or I remember even last year I was preaching in a local high school with like hundreds and hundreds of students, and this was like most of them wouldn't have been Christian, and so I remember that was like a little bit just nerves of like really not wanting to screw it up and like wondering what they're all thinking of me at this big private school in our city and stuff. And so I think the thing with that is just being confident. Number one, being prepared, knowing that like if this is something that God's called me to, then just being okay with it. And the other thing is, I think, is a bit of that confidence thing. Sometimes you just have to make that decision that inside you might be full of butterflies, but then kind of like just choosing to speak confidence, speaking faith. Even sometimes when I'm not even 100% on what I'm speaking, I'll just speak faith into what I believe God wants to do and say. And kind of, I think it just helps set that tone for,
Nice.
That's good. Before we go on to a question on here, any more audience questions?
Oh, throwing back to the
We got
audience.
some
We
more.
got them
We
everywhere.
got some more.
We got three.
Wow.
We got some more. Before we
Oh,
go,
they're
I'm just
full.
gonna
Wow, let's
Damn,
smash
let's
through
do it.
them.
just gonna fix up the camera real quick.
Oh, just fixing the camera view there.
We got it. Beard boy number 2. Hello. What is your question?
That's good.
Is there something spiritual about a ham and cheese croissant?
Real questions.
To the gentleman in the front, Tall Paul, is that right? Absolutely, yes, there is. I believe that there's something of the heavens that has been poured into every great croissant, topped off with the middle filling of ham and cheese. But if you want to throw something demonic in, throw some tomato and absolutely ruin that straight to hell. Just keep that in mind. And I think it just shows how easy it is that like one bit of sin, how quickly that can then permeate and ruin the whole thing. Just like if you want to add olives or anchovies to pizzas. Ruin the whole thing right there. But yeah, that's my answer.
Yeah, right. Who else was going to... You two, Bam, anyone else? Oh my goodness, there's many questions. This person, Simon, hey.
It's a frequent
When
question.
did you become a Christian?
When did I become a Christian? I feel like I always have been, partly by default. But I feel like for myself, a real conscious thing about wanting to be like 24/7 in my faith and like make it like a bigger priority was probably when I was like 13, 14 in high school. So, yeah.
Sick.
Do you follow AFL? And if you do, who do you think will win the grand final?
Ooh, two-parter there. I do, but not pretty loosely, not as much as others in my family. But I do barrack for the Tigers, and absolutely, this is their season, this is their time, this is their moment, and I think they're really anointed to go far. Mind you, I'll still be absolutely okay, and we'll get out of bed the next day if they don't come through. Just to clarify.
Next question.
If you've ever been on a missions trip, what did it change in your life?
Ooh, missions trip. I actually believe my whole life is a missions trip because we're constantly on mission and constantly called to preach the gospel wherever we go. However, I've never actually been to like a third world country or anything like that on a traditional missions trip. But I feel like for myself, every year, the last 6 years or something, we've done a week down in schoolies, like with Red Frogs, which is serving those guys. And I remember the first year I did that, that was a real game changer in reawakening my passion for young people and reaching people and like just with God using me in that sense. So yeah, that was something that like was real significant, especially in a season of kind of reworking out some of my faith and what like where I was at, that was a real bit of a stirrer for me. So yeah.
Yeah, nice. Next question.
2 questions.
Oh, another double one. I'm not sure if we can
They're
allow
not
it.
related though.
Okay.
What's the hardest part about being a youth pastor? And then would you consider us to be God's mortal instruments?
Okay. So part 1, hardest thing about being a youth pastor is probably the tension between like obviously needing to reach and stay relevant for teenagers, but then also having the respect of everyone else and kind of being in that middle zone, and dealing with parents and permission forms and policies and OH&S issues and risk assessments. I feel like they're like just headaches all like in one beautiful package called youth ministry. Like love each of them equally. No, that's not true. But like I feel like I think is probably the challenge of dealing with so much in youth ministry. It's not just like preaching and it's not just running games and kind of like that element of like, it's like just a full-on season of like, mind you, I love the challenge and the opportunity of like teenagers. I feel like are an incredible opportunity where they are most in the zone to be able to fully be used by God to do something great. So it's an incredible honour to be able to serve in that season. And what was the second half?
Would you consider us to be God's mortal instruments?
What do you mean by that?
Um,
Do you mean like us as in all of us here? And
Like everyone,
yeah.
people in general.
Yeah, totally. So when you say mortal instruments, you mean like being just vehicles being used by God type of deal?
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah? Cool. Yes, I would. I think we're totally, God uses people, and that's what we get to do. So, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Nice. Well, we're out of questions in the phone, actually.
Wow, we're out of phone questions.
I know, we smashed through it, honestly. I had to keep some out because they're not really relevant to what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a deep burning question, Jay? Do you have one yourself?
You know that question I asked before was for Jay, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Her name is Stratocaster. She's back there.
The guitar, classic.
No need to point that out. Jeez. Calm down.
Cool.
Make it awkward, don't you? Anyway, so I guess if we're out of questions, I'm not going to ask VeggieTales stuff.
But what is your opinion on VeggieTales? Let's just...
All right, let's just go there. Let's just unpack it. They don't have hands.
They don't have hands.
Like, how do they move stuff? And, like, why didn't they get hands? Like, if you're going to go as far as having talking vegetables with, like, eyes and nose and mouths, wouldn't you give them hands? And if you're going to give them hands, wouldn't you give them, like, arms? Like, probably don't have to be huge arms and stuff, but, like, just feels more natural. Like, you know, in bits where you'd see them bounce a ball or, like, throw something and whatever, it just feels weird and unnatural. Like, they don't have hands to be able to do that. Like, I don't know, I feel like if you're going to go that far, why don't you do that? But having said that, maybe that's just the cool thing that is VeggieTales. You got veggies that don't have hands, yet they still seem to get by and can be still used by God to do great stuff. And so I think that's inspiring, and I think it just shows that, like, if God can use a tomato or an asparagus, then, like, he can use you and me. So I feel like that's a lesson for us all.
I just had a revelation. If they don't have hands, how do they flick open the Bible? Telekinesis.
There is actually audio Bible and stuff, and I think
And they've got that computer at the end of the episode.
That's why it's so important.
Is
that
it bad
we
if I
have
say I haven't watched
resources.
VeggieTales ever?
That wouldn't surprise me. I feel like you totally haven't watched VeggieTales.
Yeah, I haven't.
And I feel like it answers a lot, right?
It's just a lot. Ouch.
So you don't know anything about the bunny?
No.
The bunny?
I know nothing.
Oh, we love the bunny. I didn't eat my bread or my soup, just the bunny. The bunny.
Okay, someone's just playing.
No,
Can we?
none of
Yeah,
that.
thanks.
Well, we got a good question here. How much time should you spend a day praying?
That probably depends on your age, your gender, how far along in your faith you are. But generally, if you're a teenager in Kyabram, I would say totally between 3 to 4 hours.
24 hours.
But then there's also a verse in Philippians to pray continually or pray without ceasing. So that answer would be to never stop. However, a somewhat serious answer that you're probably looking for, I would say totally, I think you should at least have at least begin with like a 5-10 minutes of solid prayer. Like, obviously it's great to pray wherever you go and like whenever you have a moment, but I feel like at least begin somewhere. And it's for you, if it's like finding 5 or 10 minutes at the beginning of your day, start with that. I remember once hearing a sermon, like as a teenager, like some pastor was like talking about they prayed 2 hours a day, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've got to be praying for 2 hours a day if I want to change the world. And then like I got up early to do it one day, and then it kind of just all went down from there, and I felt like I was a failure. But it's like, I think what's better is just to be consistent. Be consistent with the small and start with that, and then let that grow from there, rather than kind of like set this idea of like wanting to be Reinhard Bonnke and then praying for 4 hours and then not really doing 4 minutes. So, yeah.
What are some tips in becoming a leader?
Tips into becoming a leader. I think just beginning with where you're at. Look for, start small. If you're wanting opportunity to lead, just like ask the church, find an area that you can serve in. Maybe it's in youth. Find something that can be done, whether it is coming in early after school and helping setting up stuff, or maybe it's like another time that you can come in and volunteer. As well as that, I think choose to be a leader wherever you are. So maybe in your high school, find a way that you can be able to be used by God or to serve or do something. I think the other thing with it is find leaders and serve them. Like I think that like we said earlier, that like if you want to be a great leader, find great leaders to follow, and literally just allow. I think the other thing is allow leaders and people to speak into your life. Be teachable. Be able to ask questions of what can I grow in, what do I need to areas I need to work on, what are growth areas that I can keep looking to expand my capacity. Ask questions like that, and then I think you're opening yourself up to grow and to be bigger than what you are.
Nice. Cool. Well, I reckon we'll end all the questions now.
I think we're done.
Whoa, that's the end. We've hit it.
We've done it, yeah. So
Wow.
I reckon if any of you guys out in the audience, if you want to ask more questions, ask Pastor Dave here. Feel free to just ask him after this when we're done. I'm sure he'd be happy to answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I would. Yeah.
If anyone in the audience, if you're near Bendigo, come visit East Church.
Yeah. Connect Church. Hit us up. Check us out on the interwebs or on the socials, or if you're passing through town, especially 5 p.m. It's our like youth and young adult AIM service, and it's always fun and stuff. So get around it.
There you go.
Nice.
Sometimes we even serve up pasta after the service.
Pasta. I mean,
Pastor Dave Doolan. Spaghetti.
so harsh. You guys are so harsh. Anyway,
Anyways,
as we always do, well, let's plug our socials first.
plug our socials. At Freedom Youth Kai on Instagram and Facebook. At freedommemes.exe on Instagram for top quality memes.
Spicy ones.
At freedom_youth_girls for the girls. Yep.
We haven't had a boys one.
That's the memes.
Yeah.
Memes are for the boys.
The boys.
And
That's
obviously,
so sexist in 2019. I can't believe that's even allowed. Wow.
radio. Memes are for everyone.
Yes.
What
That's the rest of my socials.
Why did I feel like I had to say that? I don't even know.
Of course, you can watch this on YouTube.
Oh,
You're probably
at
watching it on YouTube
Freedom
already.
Youth, Kai Abram. Remember to hit subscribe, slap that notification bell.
Leave a like. Add some comments. I don't know. But
Can
yeah,
both boys and girls watch? Is that both genders allowed? For
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Just checking it's inclusive.
We'd probably get like kicked off YouTube if we did that anyway.
True. Anyway,
Good.
as tradition of Freedom Burrito, Josiah, what would you like to say?
Can we get the music down just a bit? Thanks, man. So, if you don't know, in every episode, we have a very thoughtful insight to give. Okay, so we've had some rippers in the past, and today's one is no exception. Leather pants are uncomfortable, and fabric softener exists. But if you put them together, it doesn't make the pants taste any better. This has been Freedom Burrito with me and Jay and Pastor Dave Doolan. Catch you guys later. Bye.
Bye. Check out my podcast. It's called Spicy Quesadilla. It's coming next fall.
Please do make a podcast. That'd be cool.
Maybe I will.
That'd be cool.
Maybe.
Anyway, thanks for your time, too.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for the coffee and the Skittles.
I know, we got such a great audience. Thanks, audience.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thanks for everything.
audience.
That's the best. Thanks for the questions, even though some are pretty